Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of ADHD and Crochet. And today we are going to put together a little hedgehog. Now I did make him a little bit of a stained glass look today, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with his muzzle. Everyone always thinks of turkeys and things like that when it comes to fall season. So I wanted to add something a little unique for fall season. Now he's not exactly fall colors. That's the fun part about doing these things. You can make them whatever color you want. And this was an interesting pattern, and I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it yet. Obviously, I did not make this pattern, I just used it. I may attempt my own later, only because the way the spikes are done felt a little odd to me. Spikes are made in two pieces, as you may have seen a little bit on the back there, but we'll go over that in more detail later. But the rest of him was fairly easy, fairly made enough sense. He's just a cute little. So making the body was like a weird gray sparkly peanut. Alright, so we're gonna make our knot. And hide our string. And snip snip. Now I'm not one for embroidery, so I did use a safety on him. And of course, safety eyes. I am going to detach this, the back parts here, just for the sake of getting at the arms here. So I'm just going to lift it. Strings. I'm going to start with his upper arm, and we'll do the foot on this side. And we'll turn him over and do the other side. Now the arms I am going to leave relatively loose. They're going to get a little bit pinned down a little bit more once I attach the body spikes more. Going to overlap. But for right now, we're just going to get those initial attachments on there so that the seam can be hidden. A couple stitches here and there. I expect the back of the hedgehog to take a little longer than all of the limbs because it is bigger. But now that I've said that, these strings are going to make this take much longer than it should. So we'll go ahead and make our little knot. Rethread the needle so that we can hide our string. Now the arm doesn't look very attached right now, but again, it is going to have some overlap here. There will be some additional stitching. We'll just go ahead and snip snip. And move on to the next leg. I think I could get away with a legally distinct blue hedgehog at some point doing this, since it is a realistic hedgehog pattern, or somewhat realistic hedgehog pattern for the stuffed animal. Make it the vibrant blue. Now for this leg, we are going to attach it a little bit towards the front. We're going to make some stitches there. Just because we want it to lay relatively flat here. I'm going to go under and go through the leg. Go through, go under, and I think this time we're just going to do another stitch through the bottom of the leg. I'm not going to go all the way through with this one. That way it still retains some of that puffy shape. I'll do one more. Then just going through the bottom of the leg, not touching at the top. That way we still got that rounded foot. And we're going to make our knot on the inside bottom here. Not going to go through the foot this time. Just underneath of it. And we can hide our string. And snip snip. We've got our limbs attached. Now I'm going to repin this little section here. Just to kind of keep it in place right now. This is two sections, so we'll do this section first and then cover it with this one. But for now, I'm going to go over here and do the other legs. And we're going to do the top full arms first. I'm just going to go through just a couple stitches here. Make sure that his arms stay in place. We're catching the ears apparently. Do one up here. Alright, so let's go ahead and make our knot. Touch the ears. Other parts, apparently. Hide our string. As always, snip, snip. And we have our urn attached. Keep bumping into my camera today. Now, if this does not take long enough, you have another thing that I can grab. It won't take very long at all. But we'll see. We've still got 4 parts left on this little guy. And then we are just going to go under the foot here. For a couple of stitches. We're going to make our knot. And hide the string. And alright. So we have back to do. Now the back of this is going to be a little bit complicated. I'm feeling most of the rest of this video is going to be just me pinning things back in place and fighting with that. That'll be fun. We are just going to go ahead and remove this long piece so that it is not in the way. We're going to position this back piece to tuck this string under. It won't be seen when we're done anyways. I'm going to make sure I am getting even coverage on both sides. I'm going to pin it in place. Gotta be careful not to poke yourself doing this. Right. I don't want to go below these stitches here. I'm going to attach to that mostly so it sits flat. Alright. We are going to do the top and bottom in black and the sides in rainbow. As promised, we will be going through the arm a little bit further. Apparently, I'm creating problems for myself. And then back up. Work our way around here. I'll leave that in right now. We're just going to carefully work our way around here. And I'm going to make sure that this one is nice and tight against the body. We do have to finagle the other piece, overlap with it. Now, because the pattern calls for a solid color to be used, not striping, but I wanted to do some striping, making both pieces so that they would line up properly was a bit of a challenge. This one I did long rows on, and the other one I did short rows on. And they still did not turn out exactly the way I was hoping they would. But I also didn't really expect them to. Catching my glove, put that in earlier, but apparently it can't be done. It keeps trying to become part of the hedgehog. And we are getting to the other arm. We will make one more stitch in the arm with the black. And I will make a knot. But instead of just hiding the string, I'm going to move the string to the bottom half of the hedgehog. Continue our stitching there. Get this to cooperate all the way down to the bottom here. Looks like a weird seal with a backpack on. The more you know, hedgehogs are just tiny weird seals with backpacks. And through we go. We're just going to work around. This had me do a back loop only, so we're going to work through the front loops for this row once we get through the leg here. This just helps add a little bit of dimension here on the bottom and helps make sure that the hedgehog can sit flat. Now we get a little bit of nuance here because we are at where the rows were switching. This is our first stitch essentially. We've got to make some adjustments a little bit in where we're stitching so it still lays pretty flat. Going around. Alright, so everything all together, we're about halfway through the video. We can get to 45 minutes with this. I'll just keep it at that. You'll have to wonder about the next project for the next video. Gotta keep my content rolling, you know, for my 4 viewers. I really do appreciate you guys. I do try to make sure I'm consistent with posting. Sometimes it gets hard working and household chores and life. But I do want to be consistent. Alright, so we've made our knot, hit our strings, we're going to snip snip. And now we're going to do the rainbow yarn. And here we go. Alright. Don't really need any of these pins at this point. I am going to go through here, so the edge. And up through the arm, up through the back. Grab my microphone. Now that we've gotten through the arms, these stitches should be a little easier until we get through to the leg. The leg will probably be more challenging. I will probably just do on the top part of the leg just because the leg is more fully attached. And same as the way we did with the top. Make a little knot here. I'm just going to use my last stitch as my knot. And I don't have to work all the way through. I'm going to pull it out here. And fully make my way to the edge. That's right. We can pop this right back in. There we go. Alright. So now we can remove these pins. They are not necessary. And work our way back up. And we're going to keep going. That an easy one. Now the next one are probably going to be a little more difficult. We will be stitching pretty much just to, as far as the lower body is concerned, just to what I've already attached. But I do have to do a lot of folding and stitching and other things to kind of get it to lay correctly. Go through body. The hedgehog to the floor. That is a requirement. Dropping the project is required at least once. And we'll make our knot. And now we can hide our string. We're just going to hide it right through the back here. We're going to set that aside. Now, a little shaping. We need to make him not bald. Position this just past that top starting place. I'm going to make it goth for a minute. Pin that down. I'm going to pin back right over here down as well. I'm going to do some stretching. So we're going to pin the outer edges where I want them. This little string is going to be pulled up through here. This is just going to get attached at the bottom here. And that side is in place. We're going to do this side. And poke yourself. I'm not going to use a black pin. That seemed like a mistake. Don't know what I was thinking when I grabbed that originally. That is how you get poked, using the same color pin as the item you are making. Alright, so we've got our edges, so now we've got to hide this little hole. So we're going to pull that down. I'm going to put a temporary pin right there. Keep it there. Take this, and we're going to pull it here. Never mind, we're not going to pin that. Just our pull. Pull. Tuck that in. We're going to take this. And do that. And this is the part that I'm sure there was a better way. We'll find that better way another time. I'm going to use the rainbow yarn on the inside here, but I'm going to use the black yarn for the entire outer border. Alright, there we go. So, at least 15 minutes to an acceptable length of a video. I think we can make that. Keep going through here. A little bit more difficult the more stitches you do in the same place. That's why I use metal needles, not plastic ones. I like having that black frame around the rainbow because it makes it have that nice stained glass look, gives it that border, that hard border. Work our way around. This nice and flush as best we can. All my pins are bent from being put into stuffed animals they were probably never meant to be put into. But oh well. They are still usable. They're not broken. Put my sewing pins through a lot. Eventually I'll end up having to get more. Oh no. My other hobby. Purchasing supplies for making crafts. course, in true me fashion, I had made making this more difficult on myself than it probably needed to be. But it is what it is. I'm looking a little more hedgehog-like. Obviously, we're just missing his little ears, and he will look just like a little hedgehog. Mermaid. Very strange, sordid universe. Because if I see a hedgehog that looks like this in the wild or at a pet store, I'm going to be concerned for my own health and start wondering who put things into my breakfast. Now, working around the magic circle is a little difficult. We're going to do it this way. We're just going to hide the magic circle's existence. I always pull mine very tight. Check if my microphone was still on. I had just one charged before we started the filming today, and the other two are not charged at all. But my charging cable is being used to make sure my camera doesn't die in the middle of filming. And that way I actually have content and don't have to make yet another project to film. I have things planned out. I'm just gonna make one stitch through the arm, and then we're just gonna work through the top of the arm here. Make my life a little easier. Now we're at the bottom here. We'll work through the stitches we made earlier. Now there's enough chaos on the middle bits that it does not seem to be too much of an issue that the outer edge does not line up perfectly, which is nice. I was a little worried about that. I think the outer edge calms it down a little bit. I'm just going to do a couple of stitches here on the inside edge with the black, kind of get things to even up. But from this point forward, we are going to just be working with the rainbow yarn all the way around. We're going to make our knot, hide our string, not the needle, just the string. Snip, snip. And then we're going to grab this rainbow yarn. We're going to do the inner edge here. We're going to go up, do a couple of stitches up here to kind of flatten that out, and then come back down. To start, to pull our yarn through here. I'm apparently making a knot. Fix that. I want to make a knot. And we're just going to work our way through here. And we're going to keep going. All the way around. We're starting to get where things get a little bit questionable. There we go. Keeping that pin in place for right now because I'm scared. Alright, take that one off though. To make sure this is attached to the other side. Go over through here. Did not really mean to split the yarn there, but it's fine. Make a few stitches. And there we go. Now we can start going through the other side. So I think we are safe to take that pin out. We are. We're just gonna make our way through. And we're going to very good. Close through. And we are reaching where we've already stitched. We'll just do this one last stitch here. Make our knot. Maybe. Make our knot. Hide our string. And now all that's left is our ears. And then let's just go here and go ahead and attach that one. Make our knot. Hold the string. The last couple stitches. And we have made it to 50 minutes. So we have, if you'd like to cooperate, we are kind of reaching the end here today. If you liked the video, please like the video. You can find most of our stuff on Instagram. I'm hoping to get into some local shops soon, but that is about it. If you want to see more content like that, like this, subscribe. If you want to support local artists or small artists, you can check the description for various links, both for the hedgehog pattern and for my friend's shop. Get some cool shirts or other things you might like. I will see you guys in the next one. And here's our little hedgehog. Bye, guys.